All right, sorry guys for that little interruption there. We're having a little technical difficulties, no big issues. But anyway,
Well,
you
big issues emotionally and mentally and physically
well, sure. I
and
want to hang.
verbally.
I want to hang your dog from the nearest tree when I find it. But hey, it happens, man. I mean, I just got to get over it because we got to work together, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, I know this is a purely professional relationship that we just have to make work, like Shaq and Kobe back in the day.
Exactly. Speaking of which, okay, so we have the East, we have all the Celtics hopefuls, but the Cavs are probably going to make it. Maybe the Raptors will beat them, probably not.
I think you know
I
what?
hope for
Look,
Cleveland fans that he makes it.
I do legitimately think that if the Celtics play up to the potential, not which they don't actually have much potential, but if they play hard and they play gritty like they have most of this season, and Brad Stevens gives his best coaching performance of his life, they've got a real shot.
And Isaiah Thomas makes a couple of big shots because you
Absolutely,
need big shots. But
absolutely.
anyway, let's move on to the West because the Spurs Golden State I think is the more interesting matchup. We're not even considering the Thunder, which might be a little unfair, but um,
Might be, but as long as Russell
you
Westbrook's
said
over
you
there.
said you said the Spurs. You said the Spurs are going to beat the Golden State, and I just want to hear your explanation for why that is.
Well, first, I mean, it's never wise. I've learned in all my years of NBA expertise, so they say anyway. So I have been called. Um, that that it's never wise to doubt a Greg Popovich coached team, and obviously we know that's true. Greg Popovich is a genius when it comes to these sorts of things, and the way he's been resting his big three. I mean, I shouldn't say big three anymore. His three old guys, uh, Manu, Tony, Parker, and Tim Duncan. The way he's been resting them, and the way that the Spurs have been playing really, really seriously under the radar. They have the fifth or sixth best record ever posted in the NBA, with or tied for at 67-15, and nobody's talking about them because the Warriors obviously went 73-9, which is a bigger accomplishment.
I mean, the Spurs easily, well, maybe not easily because they did play the Golden State, but they did have like 12 wins going to the last or 12 losses going to the last like 4 games. But I
No,
don't know, man.
it wasn't. Yeah, I mean, 12 losses going to the last 4 games. Yeah, because they rested all their players. They played
No, I
Golden
know.
State
Well,
twice.
that's what I'm saying. Like who they might have still lost to Golden State twice if they hadn't rested them. But
It's true, they might have, and yeah,
but
and
so
it's
you know 12 to 15 wins is the range for which they have,
yeah,
or
12, yeah,
losses,
losses,
not
yeah, yeah.
wins. But I don't know, man. Like if this was a team, if this was last year, I would say the Spurs are definitely gonna win. But considering the
Really?
Golden,
Because last
well,
year, last
because
year they
no,
didn't even have the addition of
no, no, no,
LaMarcus
no, 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 no,
Aldridge.
no. That you don't. That's not what I meant. Like
You mean with the
if this were,
Warriors last year
yeah,
too?
like with the Warriors, like last year the Warriors were untested, unproved in the playoffs.
Hmm.
And I
They
would
didn't
think like
have
you
to
know
play
the
the
Greg
Spurs.
Popovich team's true, but still, like now that I know that they're capable of winning in those big games
Yeah.
and everything, then I don't know. I find it really hard to bet against the Warriors. I mean, they're like could go down as one of the best teams of all time.
I don't blame you for that, and I find myself thinking that all the time too. But it just maybe there's a little piece of it that comes back to the if I'm wrong nobody will care, but if I'm right everyone will be like, oh yeah, you predicted the Spurs.
True, but I
But
don't know. And
also the Spurs are I think a vastly underrated team right now. The way that Kawhi can play, can lock down Steph. If he's zeroed in on defense, he's going to win his second Defensive Player of the Year award this year. And if he's zeroed in on defense, he's going to be able to maybe not lock down Steph. It's impossible to lock down Steph, but can actually disrupt him enough to make him go say 4 for 15 from three. Then the Spurs have a legitimate and more than legitimate shot because they've still got their three old guys who are so well rested and still top-notch basketball players. And then you've got the addition of your all-star power forward in LaMarcus Aldridge, who is a beast down low and a beast with the mid-range shot. And you've still got Kawhi Leonard, who's putting up 21 points a game, even though he's constantly 100% focused on defense. I mean, they're a scary team, and then you add in obviously the strong bench that they have with Boris Diaw and Patty Mills and Matt Bonner,
my boy,
my boy, and then you throw in Greg Popovich, the fact that they're coached by Greg Popovich, and it's it's a big deal. I think it's an underrated aspect of it. This whole season has been underrated by the Spurs, and I think they're going to surprise a lot of people.
They have been flying under the radar thanks to the Warriors. But I mean, I could definitely see it. Like I'm a huge fan of the Spurs just because I see the similarities between the Spurs and the Patriots.
Oh, absolutely.
But anyway, so
they're undeniable.
So I don't actually remember from the first part we mentioned our little competition.
I think we mentioned it, but we didn't finish talking about it.
Okay, well, just brief recap. I want you to post on the response to this post on Facebook. I want you to respond with the champion of the NBA and the NHL. And if there is one winner, then I will buy you a bottle of Angel's Envy. It's a really nice bourbon. Or if you're younger than 21, I'll buy you something else.
And if you don't like bourbon, Tom will bite the bullet and buy you some Grey Goose.
Yeah.
Which, if you don't like bourbon, then I mean, hey.
If you don't like bourbon,
wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So you guys can all do that. We'll talk about it a little bit more, but yeah. So that's I don't know. As the series kind of like play themselves out, we'll come back to this obviously because they might be some big upsets or whatnot. But
it's possible.
I want to talk a little bit about the Golden State season as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a big deal?
Yes, I think it is a big deal. It's better than the greatest Jordan team of all time, and that there's something to be said for that. At least in the regular season.
Okay, you're cheating now because you know what I'm going to respond with because we've had this conversation.
I mean, I knew what you were going to respond with before anyway. But no, Tom, it is
Patriots,
legitimate. 70. Okay, Tom.
16-0 doesn't mean anything until you win a championship. It doesn't mean anything until they win the championship.
But there's something to be. Okay. There's absolutely something.
Let me rephrase that. Let me rephrase that. It doesn't mean not mean anything. It means much less. If they get knocked out. Heck, if they make it to the finals, it might be worth a little bit more. But if they get knocked out by the Spurs in the conference finals, no one is going to care.
I agree. Well, no,
somebody
will care, and people will care because in basketball, because in basketball, it's not a perfect record, and it still technically can be beaten. You could go 74-8.
Sure, it can happen.
But you can't get better than 16-0, at least in the regular season.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Live by the 3, die by the 3, right, man? I mean, that's how
absolutely. And let me tell you, the Warriors have been living large.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, also, can we talk about how Steph Curry, Tom, I know we talked about Steph Curry earlier on in our bro chatness, in our podcast days, early on in the podcast days, back in February. But Steph Curry last night, much bigger event than Kobe going for 60 in his final game. Who gives a shit? Like, he took 50 shots. Nobody was playing defense. It looked like an all-star game out there. And, great. Good for Kobe. Go out with a bang. Whatever. You won your 17th game of the season. Blah, blah, blah.
Ooh, burn.
But Steph Curry last night, and this hasn't really been talked about, hit his 400th three.
That's disgusting.
And surpassed it. I think the final tally is 402.
That's just disgusting.
The previous record was 286, set by Steph Curry last year. He hit 114 more threes, or 116 more threes than he hit last year. It is what? The man shot 5 3 or it made 5 threes a game. What?
Yeah.
It's absolutely obviously
unheard
of.
But if he goes 4 games without being super hot right now, it's over. It's done.
Not even 4. If he goes the second game of the conference finals and the 6th game, for example, and the Spurs can take 2 even when he is hot.
True.
I mean,
it can happen.
It absolutely can happen. If the Spurs, if Curry's hot and goes for 35 or 40, you could still absolutely beat the Warriors if Klay Thompson goes 6 for 23 and Draymond Green doesn't score a point. or not even if he scores 10 points. I mean, well, you can absolutely look. I'm not, especially for a team like the Spurs. The Warriors are not an unbeatable team.
No, yeah, that's true. It is true, and it's hard to kind of separate yourself from it because it's like you get caught up in the stupid ESPN garbage. But speaking of ESPN garbage,
That's true.
I haven't, honestly, SportsCenter's been on the background for
that's what you've been
last
staring
like
at.
3 hours, and they're just showing a replay of like a revolution of three things. They're showing, the Golden State, they're showing the Kobe, and they're showing the fact that the NFL released their schedule because the NFL are dicks and they want to take away the hype from the NFL or the NBA and NHL.
Thomas.
Anyway,
I can't just say they're being dicks about this. Of course, they want to do that. They
look,
want to they want to make sure that they are the alpha dog here.
Look, the NHL playoffs started yesterday. This is no longer a thing we're looking forward to, like we've been saying on this podcast.
I know
they have started already, and I mean we've had some pretty awesome things. Like the Blackhawks lost last night to the Blues.
Thank God, the Blues.
And yeah, I mean like we're both here for the Blues. I mean St. Louis, man, they got a place in our hearts because of the way they've been abused by Roger Goodell.
And even before that's number one. But even the Blues, they've always had a place in my heart just because they've been good and people want them to be good and then they just falter in the playoffs and I just want to see them succeed.
Look, I really respect St. Louis's sports besides their football team. Like the Cardinals, man. I mean, the Cardinals are a great franchise. Like
the Cardinals
I will never say a good word about the Yankees because I hate their guts. But the Cardinals are a really good franchise.
No, the Cardinals are. I have the utmost respect for the Cardinals organization.
But the Blues, man, I really want them to win, and I'm gonna have to jump on the Blues bandwagon because Minnesota is faltering. And I know I had Zach Parise, man, but
Zach Parise's out for the first 2 games.
Yeah, exactly. So there goes their chances of winning.
Exactly.
They play Dallas anyway, Dallas is super hot right now and have been this entire season. But
yeah, they're the number one seed in the West.
Why is this not what we need to talk about it? Even though we we have to go digging to find this kind of information on the NHL. It doesn't just pop up on the front page of ESPN and show oh, look here. Hey, it's these are the NBA playoffs going on. Here's some recaps from games or whatever. It's
well, at least it's the playoffs.
I gotta go to the NHL tag, and then I gotta go to home, and they didn't even create a tag for the playoffs, and you gotta go to scores from the regular season.
Yeah.
This is garbage.
I know. Of course it is. And Tom, this is not a new development with ESPN.
We hate ESPN.
This is not a new development with ESPN. They've always given preferential treatment to any other sport than hockey.
Ever since come on, the lockout was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever it was, where they had the big fallout with them and everything.
Yeah, I know.
Ugh.
Which is why, hey, you'll never see an NHL game broadcast on ESPN.
True. So
I think that's a huge part of it.
so who is? I don't remember. Who are you rooting for? Dallas?
No. Well, Dallas. I can get behind Dallas in the West, but
the Capitals. You wanted the
Caps. I'm in for the Caps this year.
Yeah, your predictions. Even though
West,
I don't remember whether this was this podcast or the one that we had to delete. You went Capitals and Spurs, right? For the
Capitals and Spurs, yes, I did.
I don't know why, dude. Well, I was gonna say, I mean, Washington's like Villanova.
Exactly. So are the Blues.
Constantly disappointing, and maybe this is their year, or most likely it's not.
Most likely it's not, which is why let's be honest, they're the number 1 seed in the East, but nobody believes in the Capitals.
Yeah.
And I just think, I like this. I love the city of DC. I think it's a wonderful, at least sports wise, it's a downtrodden city.
But I don't know who's gonna beat them. I mean, Rangers.
In the East?
I don't think Florida or Tampa Bay will. I mean, the whole Atlantic Division is garbage. Florida, Tampa, Detroit. Like, really?
Oh, speaking of Detroit, salute to Detroit, even though I don't really like the Redskins, but 25 straight years in the
Why don't you like
postseason,
Redskins? Are you racist, Danny?
oh, I meant Red Wings. My mind was on DC Red Wings. I'm not a huge fan of the Red Wings, but 25 straight years in the playoffs is nothing to sneeze at, man. That's insane.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I don't know. The East, without the Bruins, honestly, I hate all the teams in the East besides the Bruins.
And that's fair. I'm not faulting you for that. I'm not
you
holding
know,
that against you.
typically, like would root like in college football, you would like root for your conference to do well, or college basketball, or whatever it is. But in professional sports, it's like you hate the teams that you play all the time, and I would be happy to see Dallas win, St. Louis win, Anaheim win, LA win, San Jose win, um, Minnesota, Nashville, everyone except Chicago in the West.
Tom, how about I say this? If the Blues beat Chicago, I'm rooting for the Blues to beat Chicago. I'm already on that. I'm already on the bandwagon that much. But if the Blues beat Chicago, I'm all in on the Blues. How about that?
All right, that's fair.
Especially since, we have to kind of pick and choose because obviously the Bruins are not in the playoffs again for the second straight year. Claude Julien is coming back for next season.
Good. That's good. Maybe Chara won't.
Chara, as sad as it is to say, Chara was probably our best defenseman this year. And that's not saying Chara performed well.
Yeah.
that's just saying how terrible the Bruins defense was.
Yeah. Which is usually the staple of our team.
Exactly,
But,
and they've moved away from that. Peter Shirley moved away from. But anyway, that's a different podcast.
Yeah. I mean, we've as much as I'd love to cover the NHL for a whole podcast, I don't actually think anyone actually cares besides us and a couple other people.
And maybe Colby DeMasi and
Of
Andre.
course. Yeah. So let's move on.
I can't
let's
even
imagine.
I can't even imagine how
Dude,
Andre feels
he was so depressed, man.
after that collapse. Oh gosh.
He was so depressed.
I can't imagine.
How do you like that, Sean? Like, you were probably all happy about it. Andre probably had like the worst couple days of his life because of you.
Other than last year.
Worse than last year.
And other than the year the Blackhawks beat the Bruins.
Worse than last year. This was a pretty epic collapse by the
This was an
Boston.
absolute.
They were talking about
epic.
The third seed, the fourth seed, something like that, and now
they would have been
out.
the third seed.
They're just out.
They were tops in their division, man. I mean, come on. And then they don't even make it.
Exactly. Anyway,
jeez.
I think we should talk about this NFL blockbuster trade because this is the news of the day for sure.
And it is big news. It is big news. It's a big deal.
Okay, so for anyone who doesn't know the exact details, the Los Angeles Rams, traded to the Tennessee Titans. The Titans traded their number 1 overall pick in exchange for the 15th overall pick this year, 2 second rounders, the 43rd and the 45th, and a third rounder, the 76th, and the Titans will also get the first rounder next year and the third rounder next year.
Oh, jeez. The Rams, because I have to say, I mean, I don't know. The Rams have been pretty shrewd, at least with the draft the last couple of years, as far as I've followed. And this is, to me, it's just 100% an attention grab. It's like, we've got the number 1 overall pick. We're going to pick a stud new quarterback. Come buy tickets, because now we're in LA and we're starting a new thing. And I hope, I pray that this. I mean, I would feel bad for the guy, but this doesn't work out for the Rams, and he's just a total bust. And
it is kind of sad to think about it, and don't talk about that. People will start to feel bad for him. Like, this kid just making out of college gets drafted number 1 overall. Like, and you're hoping that he fails just to get back at Roger Goodell for this.
Okay. Am I allowed to put it that I hope that this doesn't work out for the Rams, but it's fine for that kid?
Yeah. I mean, but when has that ever happened?
I know. I mean, Alex Smith maybe, but that's not even really a success story.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, I mean, I mean, this happened with the Redskins.
The Redskins and the Rams took total advantage of the Redskins.
And it wasn't even. It was for this. That was for the second overall pick
Yeah, that was for Robert
RG3.
Griffin or Andrew Luck, because I
Yeah,
wasn't sure who would go for number one yet.
I'm pretty sure everyone was like decently sure Andrew Luck was going first because he's like
Probably.
the classic guy. Like this. Okay, this is my problem with this because it's one thing to go get Andrew Luck,
Hmm.
who is. It's still a guessing game, but for all intents and purposes, was the best quarterback coming out of the draft in the last 10 years, maybe 15 years. Ever
Yeah.
since, like, the best looking quarterback since Peyton Manning came out of the draft.
Yeah, probably. Absolutely. Well, yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I would. Yeah, absolutely
It's one
agree
thing
with
to
that.
go get him, but, like, really? Like, Carson Wentz and Jared Goff?
Wentz, I have
Like
faith in
I
Wentz. I
have,
think Wentz
no,
could be a real deal.
I have nothing against these guys, and you never know. They might turn out to be, have that, clutch factor that Peyton Manning never had. But,
Yeah, screw Peyton.
but I don't know, man. Like, the fact that I haven't heard that much about these guys makes me question their decision, and it makes me agree with you that this is not about getting a player.
Oh, it's absolutely not.
This is about trying to stir up the LA fan base and get them excited about the team, and
Hmm.
get them to buy tickets. But they don't really like. I don't know, dude. The chances that a number one quarterback works out and is great, just like isn't that high. It doesn't
Oh,
happen
it's
that
not.
often.
It's
I mean,
not.
like you
But
think of the number one picks overall going, or like the top 10 picks going on. You got people like Sam Bradford, and you got people like RG3, and you got people, just like oozing out of all your pores, like
Tim Couch,
Tim Cat or
way
what's his
going
name?
way back.
What's his name?
Jamarcus Russell,
The Minnesota backup was like 13th overall. What is his name? The
Christian Ponder.
Christian Ponder, like Andy Dalton was in the top 10. Like what? Like
And Andy Dalton still might be. I mean,
he
he had a
still
great
might be,
season
but
last year.
he's cast
You know,
enough doubt into the people's
he
mind.
definitely has. Oh, he definitely has.
So like this is like you're literally giving them like
But
okay,
but
but what is it? 2 first round picks, 2 second round picks, and 2 third round picks
oh, the Titans are totally fine with
for
this,
one of
dude. They're
these
making
guys.
off like bandits.
And the funny thing, I read an article today actually about because I think it was kind of brought on by this article by this news, but someone was talking about how this is like the draft is a giant guessing game. You have no
Oh,
idea,
absolutely.
how good these kids are going to be when they get to the professional level, whether they're going to have the work ethic, whether they're going to have like the clutchness, whether they're going to be smart enough to deal with like all these intricate NFL systems. And the best way to deal with it and the best way to get around the whole guessing game is to make as many guesses as you possibly
I
can.
read the same article, Thomas, and that's something
So I
that
mean, like,
obviously the Patriots have done to
look,
perfection for the most part.
look, if one of these guys, what are their names again, Wentz and Goff, turn out to be the next Tom Brady, good for them. It's worth it to give up 6 draft picks for Tom
It
Brady.
is.
I would give
It
up
is.
6 draft picks in a heartbeat for Tom Brady.
Yeah.
But
I'd give up 6 draft picks in a heartbeat, NFL draft picks in a heartbeat for Tom Brady right now.
yeah, exactly. So
Seriously, seriously.
he'd probably go for like a third rounder because that's like what old people get
No,
sent.
not Tom Brady, Tom.
Yeah.
Not Tom Brady.
It's
Can you imagine? Can you imagine what the Rams would have given us for Tom Brady?
We should have traded him. Dude.
No, we should not have. Take back your blasphemy. I ripped my garments. Jeez. Oh my word.
Tear my beard from my face as I said that. I said that in jest, but it still hurt my heart just to say it.
I believe you. I can imagine. Oh goodness. But and also the other thing about this is that the fact that they're in LA and LA is such a diverse, and there are so many like so few, like everyone in LA isn't necessarily from LA. It's kind of like the same thing with DC. There aren't many homers. And so
What did Bill Simmons say?
that's what I was about to bring up. Our good buddy and peer, William Simmons the second.
Our peer.
He he tweeted out today like, okay, well, the Rams just made this trade, good for them, but their number one overall pick quarterback better get used to playing where 80% of the fans are rooting against him and rooting for the other team
Exactly.
on any given Sunday. Like it's true. It's true. I mean, this is the same. They're running into the same problems in San Diego, which is why San Diego wants to move, because such a large portion of the fan base is against them. Such a large portion of the people who attend the games aren't actually there for San Diego, and it's going to be worse with LA.
Yeah.
Oh, but hey, you know what? Stan Kroenke, God bless him. He and Roger made this decision together, and hopefully it works out for him. Oh gosh, too funny.
Yeah, man. I mean, I can't. Obviously, I don't know. This whole NFL thing. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
We will see.
Look, it's all over ESPN. They're predicting schedules and everything else. But I mean, we have a lot of time to talk about the NFL. I just want to quickly touch on the before we. I think we got like 5 minutes left.
Yeah, sure.
I just want to quickly touch on the Democratic debate.
Let's do it.
Did
it crush your soul, Thomas?
I did not watch it live. I couldn't watch it live. I knew I couldn't watch it live because I would change the channel. So CNN was kindly enough to give me like 15, like 30 to 1 minute clips of just things that were important that they said. And it gave me like heart palpitations watching it. Because, I had gotten to this point with Trump. Here he comes again, violating his way into our podcast.
I
was
gosh.
like, well,
he just forces his way in. We
hate
keep
this
saying,
guy.
no, and he keeps forcing his way in.
I know. I hate this guy. I'm not voting for him. I hate him. And I don't care whether Hillary wins. But,
Ooh. Anyway,
assuming he's the guy, but I don't know. She was she looked like she was struggling under the pressure. She had the worst answers I've ever heard. Bernie was like good. He was doing his thing.
Bernie's doing his thing, exactly.
It's easy to attack Hillary Clinton. It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
she is a target. And, he was taking his shots, but also doing, like, the whole standoffish, like, oh, I don't want to attack her for that because it's an FBI investigation going on and I'm not going to politicize it, garbage. Oh, I'm not politicizing it, even though I just gave it a 30-second, time bit.
Yeah, totally.
But, like, Hillary's one thing, and she looked bad, but, Bernie really scared me.
And Bernie should scare you.
Bernie is...
At least what he says.
Bernie is a lunatic. He's a complete and utter lunatic. I don't think I've ever really, like, listened and... Like, I know he's a crazy socialist, but I've never actually stood around and listened to him. And
oh, really?
It's really kind of... It's... Like, that's the kind of thing... Like, if Hillary was elected... it would be bad. It would be another 4 to 8 years of just terrible, terrible governing and increasing problems. But if Bernie was elected and, like, he was able to do even half of what he wants, we would be in serious, serious problems. I mean...
Doubt he'd be able to do half of what he wants.
I mean, he wants to raise $15 trillion in tax hikes.
I know.
Like, how absurd is that? Do you know what our GDP is?
Exactly? No.
Rough estimate?
Per capita?
No, not per capita.
Oh, okay. GDP, 3 trillion?
Really?
I have no clue.
Really?
No
you know
clue.
what GDP is?
Gross domestic product.
Yes.
Per capita, it's something like 40 or 50,000.
Okay.
So times
the right thing.
times that GDP per capita. Yeah. Per capita. I don't know what the actual U.S. gross domestic product is though.
Okay. Well, let me just try to get the exact number here. What they have for it. So the gross domestic product for 2013 is what pops up immediately. I don't want to keep searching deeply. Is $16.77 trillion dollars.
Okay, that's fine.
That is as much as his tax hikes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
That's
news?
as much as
This is news?
Hillary, like, because this was brought to my attention when I heard Hillary wanted $1 trillion in tax hikes. I was like, wow, that is a lot. And I was like, wait.
Yeah,
what?
but Bernie, well, the
I
reason
think
you
the
don't,
GDP is somewhere around like 19 right now, or 18.
the reason you don't know about it is because Bernie never actually gives you numbers.
He's actually been pretty straightforward. I was looking into it before this podcast started, but I don't know. We'll talk about it another time. He is garbage, and I hate him, and he is really scary, and he's a socialist, and that's really scary. Like a real socialist, not like Obama's a real socialist, but he's like he's the step before the leap. I don't know how to say it. What's a good analogy for this?
Oh, that's
He's
fine.
like the stutter steps before the long jump kind of thing.
The stutter steps before you dunk it.
Yeah, something like that. And
Before LeBron throws it down with no regard for human life.
yeah.
Oh, that's
I don't know.
also
I think we'll probably talk
Democrats.
about a little bit about this. Oh, we forgot to mention Chris Audino wasn't on the podcast, but
Oh, yeah,
he'll be
well,
on Tuesday maybe.
Tuesday, I think, is the new
Sean
date.
Lee coming on, our golf expert, on Sunday.
On Sunday.
Scheduled right now, at least.
And when Maddie gets down to Florida, I mean, you should hook up with him, but maybe Thursday, Sunday, Tuesday of, whatever next week.
Exactly.
Next 2 weeks, whatever it is.
And guys, get your T-shirts, man. Time's running out.
Time is running out. We'll post the link again on the Bro Chat page.
Tell all your friends about it, guys. Tell all your friends.
It's a sweet T-shirt.
Exactly. Like, even if they have no idea what it is, just tell them to buy it. It's really nice hike.
You're like, you guys don't want to be the only ones without this T-shirt. Oh gosh. Anyway, yeah. I would still prefer that Bernie beats Hillary because Bernie is far more beatable in the general, and I think that Bernie is a wake-up call for Republican senators and House members, and they wouldn't let anything that Bernie does go through. But maybe that's just a silly pipe dream. Who knows?
Yep, maybe. Unless the Republicans lose the House and the Senate as well.
That's also
because
true. That's
the garbage that's been going on.
Because
like
Trump.
look, if you
and the garbage with Reince Priebus.
Look, if you're like us, and you're thinking, if it's Hillary versus Bernie or I mean like Trump versus Bernie or Trump versus Hillary, and you're like, nah, I don't really want to vote for him. I'm not going to vote for him. You don't show up. You don't vote for your senator or your representative either.
Well, we do.
Well, if you wanted to go and vote and just leave that bubble,
No,
but the people go for because that's why the turnout's so much higher for the presidential years.
I know, but see, I'm of the opinion, and I hate the fact that you just lumped me into this. That yes, if it's Trump or Hillary or Trump versus Bernie, I'm not going to vote, but that's going to spur me towards being like, okay, but now, like, I seriously have to vote for my representative or my senator because that's the only roadblock right now.
True.
And that's how I hope.
A lot of people.
That's how I hope most people feel. Yeah, I agree with you.
A lot of them are. A lot of them.
I agree with you.
But anyway, let's wrap up this podcast. We got
this absolute hellish experience that we've just been through. Dear God, I almost threw myself off this deck 3 times. And Tom, you mentioned that you wanted to hang my dog. This has been a terrible, terrible experience, and I hope every single one of you appreciates the work we just put into this.
It's for the people, man. It's
for the people. For the people. We don't need no thanks.
All right, guys. Take it easy. We love you, Colby.
We love you, Colby, so
Keep
much.
Listening to us, Colby.
We enjoy making your work, school, or baby day that much more pleasurable.
All right, guys.
Oh man.
Monday.
Peace.